Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning, and each week we bring you wonderful small business success stories from Triangle BNI. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International. It's the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle in central North Carolina is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Have 29 chapters going strong, six trying to get started, over 600 members, everybody getting together each week to help each other grow their business. So if you know someone who is looking to start or grow a business, or you are looking to start or grow a small business, we'd love to have you come visit. You can go to Triangle BNI, and up in the right-hand corner, there's a Find a Chapter. Click on that, and it'll list every chapter of every day of the week and where they meet and when they meet. So look at those, find out what day of the week and what location is good for you. Most of them are in the morning. There are some at lunchtime. We'd love to have you come visit, just to kind of see what it's like. Normally, we bring you a guest each week, but our guest that was scheduled today had a client call them and wanted to meet this morning. So we always want business to take priority over the show. So hopefully we can reschedule. So this week we're going to talk about member success training, what new members go through. So once you join, this will give you a good idea. Once you go visit a chapter and you find one you like and you decide to join, what you will find, how BNI helps you get acclimated to BNI, how you can help activate BNI to grow your business, and kind of the things we do to help you along the way. And also, I'm a consulting director for Steve Hand, and I have 4 chapters under me, so I'll kind of let you know what they do as well. So we're just going to kind of go through the member success training program, how new members would hear it from us. And I'm one of the trainers that does this. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy helping because our role as consulting director is to help chapters grow. Chapters are anywhere from probably 10, 12 people up to 52, I think is the biggest one we have. But our job is just to help them grow. We look at attendance, how we get new visitors, which turn into how we get visitors, which turn into new members, all kinds of things like that. So as we go through this member success training, some of those will come up and we'll chat about that. So the first thing you need to know about BNI is it is relationships, not numbers. You do not join BNI to find new clients in your chapter. In my chapter, which meets Thursday mornings at Hope Community Church off Buck Jones Road at 7:30, if you're a morning person, we'd love to have you. But I did not join that chapter to find 19 new clients. That's short-term thinking, and that's not what BNI is about. In BNI, each person knows on average about 250 people. So 20 people in my chapter, each of them knows 250 people. Now, in theory, I have access to about 5,000 people. That's what you're looking for, the big picture. So I inherited 20 new salespeople. And once I explain what I do in the pest control world and educate them on what I'm looking for and who I'm looking for and what I do, pest control, termite inspections, mosquito sprays during the spring and summer and fall, so you can go sit on your back porch and enjoy the evening once you've come home from a hard day's work. So once I explain to them what I do, and we've done our one-to-ones, they've gotten to know me and like and trust me. So now I have 20 new salespeople going out looking for me, and as well, I'm going out looking for them. And everybody's in sales. We ask everybody to show a hand, and in small business, don't care what your role is, you are in sales because it's you meeting people. You may not know it, you may not try to do it, but each person you meet with is a potential sales opportunity. So we explain to people that you are in sales whether your business card says that or not. And there are 4, if you go to trianglebni.com under events, under the calendar, you will see that there are training events each month, different days, different days of the week, different times of the day that fit your schedule. So we always want to make sure that there's enough opportunities for people to do that and they can go get trained up well so they can activate Triangle BNI. Introduction for everybody. When you walk into a room, we tell everybody it's networking, not net sitting. So if you walk into a room, if you go to any event, particularly networking events, and you walk into a room and there's 15 people in there and 14 of them are sitting down and nobody looks at you to talk to you, and do you really want to join that group? So if that doesn't work for you, and I always tell people, put your consumer hat on. And when you're the consumer, if you walk into a store and nobody says hi, you walk into a retail outlet and people are rude. If you don't like it when it's being done to you, why would you do that to somebody else? So we always want to make sure that our members picture themselves as consumers and what works for them, they probably should implement in their chapters. So if I can get my fingernails here and turn these pages. And if you have any questions, please submit in the chat room. Amnon, we got any questions so far?
We have a question.
All right, fire away.
What is the one thing new BNI members can do to be successful in their chapter?
Wonderful question. So the first thing you can do when you join a chapter is how can I get life is giver's gain. BNI's one of BNI's mottos is giver's gain, and that works for life in general. So if you look at things you've done in the business world through your church, through your community, the more you give, the more you're going to get back. And that's what we tell people all the time. If you walk in thinking, well, I'm going to get 4 referrals and then I'll give 4 out, it's not going to work. So if you walk in thinking, all right, I want to listen to what my fellow chapter members are looking for, let me go help them. Then when they see you helping them, that's going to motivate them to get you referrals as well. I know when somebody gives me a referral, I feel guilty and challenged and motivated and a little competitive until I can give them at least one back. And that's what we love about BNI with the giver's gain. If you walk in with the mentality of how can I help you, then that's going to work well for you and your business. Like I said earlier, if you walk in thinking, hey, I just inherited 19 or 20 new clients, not going to work. You've got to walk in and from day one, how can I help? What can I bring to the chapter? And then all that'll come back to you. So in each BNI chapter, there are 4 contact spheres is what we call them. There's a residential group, deals with nothing but residential sales of homes. There's a B2B group, which again, dealing with business to business. So you go call on a small business, whether you have a product or service to sell to them. Then there's the financial contact sphere and the personal services contact sphere. So on the residential power team, you've got the realtor, the lender, the PNC insurance person who's going to insure your home. You've got the home inspector, you've got pest control, you got landscaping, anybody that's helping somebody buy or sell or maintain a house. 100% of the customers that they're dealing with are either owning, buying, selling, or maintaining a house. Life cycle is about 5 to 7 years before you see them again. There's one decision maker, Amnon. We all laugh that it's the wife. So the husband can say what he wants, but we laugh all the time with everybody there that if your wife is happy, then things are going to go a lot smoother.
Mhm.
Because with husbands, there's a couple things I ask for the house. The rest of it, I can't match colors.
And even those things you ask is because she wants it.
I know. I can't match colors, so it really doesn't matter to me what the kitchen or the master bedroom looks like. I just want to know, are there 2 sinks and a nice walk-in shower? Is there a porch to sit out on the back of the night for the most part? That's all I know because
Mhm.
my eyes just don't see that. It's a long selling cycle. We've had realtors on here before, and they'll tell you stories of even in this market, they'll go around for 2, 3 months showing people houses. So it's a long selling cycle and it's one and done. Usually when somebody buys a house, it's going to be 5 to 7 years before they call you again. Now, the nice thing that our realtors have told everybody on the show is they keep in touch with their clients. They may have a friend, they may have a family member looking to buy or sell a house, so they want to keep that relationship going. But also they can keep in touch with them because you want in BNI, you want to be that go-to person. So if I have a client, let's say it's a commercial client and I'm doing pest control for their building and I walk in one day just to check in with them or do their quarterly maintenance plan, and they're having problems with their computers. Well, I know a computer person can help them. So I put them in touch with that computer person so they know, hey, if you have a problem, call Mike. Mike knows people, Mike will get stuff done. And so again, that goes back to BNI. It trains you to listen different. Before I joined BNI, if I walked into a business and they were complaining about something, I didn't know a computer person. I didn't know a phone person. Now I do. So now I'm listening different when I walk in. If I see somebody beating on the computer, if I see somebody screaming at the phone, the carpets are dirty, anything like that, now I'm listening and watching different. So when I go in, I'm thinking, all right, so how many other people in my chapter can I get to help this client do their business correctly? The B2B power sphere, 100% of the people own, buy, sell, or are maintaining businesses. And it's a one decision maker. We like to laugh and call it Where's Waldo? Because if you've ever done cold calling, which most of us hate to do, and that's the beauty of BNI, it's the answer to the common cold call, is what we like to say. So if you've ever done cold calling on a business and you walk in, the toughest thing to do is get past the gatekeeper. Their job is to keep you from getting anybody you want and finding out a name you want, an email address you want, because they just don't want to give that out. If you've ever run a business, drop ins are tough because you're busy and they're dropping in. They may be selling something you don't need, or they just may want to talk for a half hour about what they do and you don't really need that. So the goal is to find out who the contact person is, which is Where's Waldo. So you want to walk out there, even if you know the name, chances are you're not going to get a meeting that day, but you want to make contact with that gatekeeper there and see how you can basically see how you can get past them. I know when I walk in, doing any kind of cold calling. I'm walking in, I'm looking for a logo or a picture. I want to know if they went to college somewhere. We can talk football or basketball. A picture if they have a boat. Oh, how often do you get to the beach? Love pictures of grandkids because we can talk about that. So I want to talk about anything but selling because most people want to buy, they don't want to be sold. So I don't want to walk in trying to sell them on something. I want to establish that relationship a little bit so they know I'm not one of those cutthroat salespeople walking in. I walked in one time to a dental office, and I must have that look on my face that says sales guy. And I walked in, and a lady said, "You a salesperson?" And I said, "Worse, I'm a small business owner." So I got me about 5 or 8 minutes with her. We laughed, didn't give me any business, but got me 5 or 8 minutes with her. So again, you try to find anything to get past that gatekeeper or build that relationship so they know, okay, he's not awful. Let me talk to him. I'll pass your stuff on, stuff like that. But on the B2B, again, it could be a long selling cycle. Sometimes it takes longer on the business side because it's a business transaction. On the residential side, it's personal. You need your carpet cleaned, you need your grass cut, you've got family coming over, it's a holiday coming up, you want all that stuff. So on the residential side, it's personal. They need it done. Can you be here Thursday to do that? On the business side, let me take care. Let me look at budgets. Let me talk to a couple of people, figure out what we want to do if we want to upgrade on this. On the financial services side, which is your financial person, we've had a couple financial people on here, investment people, CPAs, accountants, stuff like that. It's basically, are you old enough to sign a contract? Because you can't enter into an agreement with anybody that's not old enough to sign a contract, and financial is tough, and we've laughed about this on the show before. In my mind and BNI, the 2 toughest things to refer to are the financial person and the fitness health person, because you can't really walk up to somebody and go, "Man, you look loaded. I love the new car you're driving. You must have $1,000,000 in the bank. Gotta talk to my financial person." Or right after the holidays, "Wow, you put on some weight. You need to talk to my health person." Those things don't go over too well. Great way to ruin a friendship. So you have to be careful and you have to get to know your financial person in your chapter a little bit more so you can learn trigger words and phrases that somebody mentions says, "Hey, I need you to talk to my guy." On the personal services side, this is one of the hidden gems in BNI because if you think about it, every chapter could use a hairdresser, and some people kind of cock their head at that and they don't think about that. But from a women's standpoint, for guys, I mean, we're in 10 minutes in and out. You can see with all my short gray hair, doesn't take me long, still costs $20. But when women go to see their hairdresser, they're in that chair for about an hour. And they talk about all kinds of things, especially if you go to see them each month. They're gonna know, "Hey, how's your life going? How's the kids? How's the husband? How's the car? How's the house? How's the vacation? Oh, you wouldn't believe how miserable my job is," stuff like that. They're gonna know. So those are the people you want in there on the personal services side because they tend to spend more time with their clients. Pam Goodman, who we had on last week, spends a lot of time tutoring with the kids, but the parents are involved. We had Marcella Stewart on a few weeks ago with Mary Kay. Hey, you have one of those evening events at your house and you have 15 or 20 women over there. You're going to spend some time with them. You're going to get to know them and you're probably going to see them more than once. So on the personal services side, there's a need for something you want. You have the authority to make that happen and you have the means to pay for it. Another thing we talk about on with each of the chapters, especially as a consulting director, sometimes when there's a visitors day, we will do the 10-minute speech and talk about things in BNI. One of the things we talk about is helping each other reach their goals. So one of the phrases in BNI is visibility plus credibility equals profitability. So let's talk about visibility first. So 80% of your business is going to come from outside of your chapter. And Amnon, you know this in the business world, 20% of the people are giving you 80% of your business. So you want to make sure that those 20% of the people are taken care of. So visibility, congratulations. You showed up for your meeting this week. You made yourself visible. You go to a networking event, you go wherever, you are visible. So somebody's seen you, they go, oh, I remember you from 2 weeks ago. They may not remember your name or your business, but oh yeah, I remember meeting that guy over there, that lady over there. So again, you want people to recognize you and know you. It's like, wow, I see you at all these events. The C is credibility. And we've talked numerous times on the show about one-to-one. So that's where, let's say, Amnon and I would get together and we would talk about how we can help each other. Go through the list of, if here are the people I'm looking for to grow my business. Here's the people he's looking for to grow his business. So we swap names on who we know that we can introduce them to. And credibility also comes with, do you like the person? Do you know the person? And we always tell people, we'll get into this here in a little bit on the Gaines profile, but find a reason to connect. Okay. It could be sports, it could be the gym, it could be the neighborhood, it could be your church. Just find a reason to connect with somebody. Because if you think about all the people you know, business or personal, you probably met them. There was a connection somehow, some way that you two could start talking about immediately. And then that built a relationship that allowed you to build a relationship and move on from there. Because when you have a connection with somebody, okay, you kind of like them a little bit better, you can start talking some more with
Are
them.
you talking about BNI business, or are you talking about picking up a girl in a bar?
It's been a while on the picking up. Becky and I are coming up on 33 years, so that makes at least 34 and a half years. Yeah, I did everything I could to make sure I knew her name before I left because when we met one day, but didn't have a lot of good game back then, so I probably could have used some of these. It was back in the late 70s and early 80s. Yeah, it was not pretty. So thankfully, I was some of the people I did go out with, I was introduced by friends. So I guess, yeah, back to your question, it could go back to that. So yeah, so credibility. Here's my friend Mike. He's not a total moron. He's a B, a B minus student, and B's get degrees. That's kind of how I looked at it. My parents never asked for my grades. I don't think I was thinking about this the other day. Thankfully, there's nobody living that knows my college GPA or my SAT scores, but that's a whole nother show. We'll go into that later. But the credibility part of it is you want to know the person that you are doing business with. And I tell my chapters all the time, if you would not send this person to your mother's house, why would you send them anywhere else? The ultimate, every time when my mom was alive and she needed things, and my dad too to that point, is would I send this person to them? And if the answer is no, why would you send that person to one of your clients? So if you don't know them well enough, you don't like them or trust them enough, don't send them to out because they're carrying your good name out into the marketplace. So the credibility is you get to know that person well enough and you're comfortable. Say, oh yeah, you need to call Amnon. He'll take good care of you. And I know when this person calls Amnon that they're gold. And by that, by referring that person to Amnon, I know he's going to take good care of them. That's going to make me look even better. I look like the hero to my client, and they call me back and go, oh, thanks for the lead on Amnon. It worked out great. I'm all set up, good to go. Thank you very much. So the visibility plus credibility equals profitability. You put the V and the C together, you show up, you are credible, it's going to turn into profit. It's tried and true BNI. The I is for international. This is tried and true throughout the world that if you are a credible referral partner, that's going to turn into money. Now, any other questions
Oh,
yet?
yeah.
All right, fire away. Please send in any
So,
questions if you have any, since I'm
Mary's
going on my own today.
Mary's asking, how can my chapter director, CD,
Mhm.
help me to be successful in my group? And
Yep.
then she's asking also, how will I know who my CD is?
We are, by rule, as a consulting director, required to show up once a month to all of our chapters to check in, to make sure everything's going good, get to know the leadership team. But in reality, you have to go more than once a month to build the relationship with the leadership team. You want the leadership team to know that, hey, I can email, text, or call Mike with any questions. So there's 2 reasons why you want to build that relationship is one is to help the chapter. You want all the members to know, "Oh, Mike's here. Hey, good to see you again. Thanks for the help on this. Great suggestions a couple weeks ago for our visitors day that we had. It worked out great. We appreciate all the help." And then they see that you have skin in the game. If you show up once a month, gonna be difficult. Most of the members probably are gonna go, oh yeah, that guy's here." And I've heard it before. It's like, "Oh, here's Steve Spy. He's checking on it to see if we're doing any good, if we're doing everything right, and he's going to report back to Steve." And that's not the case. Yes, we fill out a report every month, but it's on the health of the chapter, how it went, things we're working on, successes. We always talk about the successes because we are here to help the chapters. If you grow, consulting directors, we go, and I love to take ideas from my chapters and share them with other chapters. And for example, one of my chapters in Wake Forest meets Friday morning at 8 o'clock at the Wake Forest Coffee Company. Rob Zellum with the Zellum Real Estate Group is the president, and Adam with Speed Pro Printing is the vice president. And about, I guess this goes back to right after Thanksgiving. I told them one of the things that chapters stand up and talk every week, "Hey, here are the seats we're looking to fill," be it's a CPA, a landscaper, a carpet cleaner, whatever it is. And do they really know that's what their chapter's looking for? So I asked Rob and Adam Perrick, Perrick, I'm got the last name right. Sometimes total recall is tough. But I asked Rob and Adam if they would start sending around a clipboard, and there's a list of 40 seats in each chapter. And when we say seat, like I have the pest control seat. BNI is seat specific. There's no other pest control person allowed in. So all the people there get to know, like, and trust me, and they refer all their pest control questions and clients to me. That's one of the beauties of BNI. So Rob and Adam put together this list of 40 seats that are not in their chapter, and they pass a clipboard around each week, and they ask each member just initial next to that name if you referred business to somebody in that industry, whether they're in BNI or not. And they had stood up and been talking for a while about these certain chapters, and Rob passed the clipboard around for about 3 weeks, and in a 3-week span, the chapter had referred 7 people to photographers, and they never once ever talked about, "Hey, we need to get a photographer in the chapter." So that's how they got looking for a photographer. So then I told my other chapters about this because once you see things on paper, that kind of changes things because you can stand up and talk every week. "Oh, yeah, I remember. That's right. Last week we talked about this." But now you see it on paper. It's like, so now when a photographer comes to visit, you can say, "Hey, if you'd have been a member 3 weeks ago, we would already passed you 7 referrals." So by doing that and building that relationship, showing up at least twice a month, calling your chapter presidents once a week on the weeks you couldn't get to the meetings, builds that relationship. So now they know they can call. Now they know that you have skin in the game and you are there to help them. Whether it's a simple question on, "Hey, I heard this. Is this a correct way to do it?" Or, "We have an issue." So that's the role of the consulting director. All of us have been in leadership roles before. I think I've been everything but vice president. So we have a good idea of what each role needs to do and what chapters need to learn and grow because we go visit other chapters so we can share ideas with them. And I always tell my chapters that I don't say I watched a chapter the other day or I heard a chapter. I always tell them these successful chapters do this, and that's why they're successful. So the role of the consulting director, A, is to show up more than once a month so that members do know who you are. And then once you show up more, they're going to see again. I mentioned earlier that I've got skin in the game with them. I'm there to help them. They can call me with questions because if you look at it, every BNI member is a volunteer. We can quit anytime if we want to. We're there to help grow, and we all need help. All the chapters need help. Some people, when they join BNI, they've never networked before, so they don't even know how to do that. Some people have never passed a referral before. Okay, so how do we teach them that? There's a big difference between a referral and a lead. A referral is, "Hey, Amnon, my next door neighbor's complaining about this. Why don't you give him a call?" And Amnon calls my next door neighbor. And he goes, "I never told Mike I needed that. I don't know why he called me." So now my neighbor sees me that night. He goes, "Why'd you have Amnon call me?" And then more importantly, Amnon calls me tomorrow and goes, "I'm not happy with you. I called this guy, he didn't need my help." That's a lead. So now when I talk to my neighbor and my neighbor goes, "Man, oh man, I'm having trouble with this. Do you know anyone to help me? And now I say yes. Can I have Amnon call you? And he says yes. So that's the referral. When somebody has a need that they ask help for, and then they give you permission to have someone call you. That's a referral. A lead is, hey, you told me you're looking for property managers. Here's four I know. Give them a call. Maybe they'll need your services. Maybe they're not. So we want to make sure everybody gives an official referral. So when I call somebody, says, "Hey, Mary or Steve or somebody gave me this, gave me your name and number, said you had cockroaches in your house." I go, "Oh, thank you for calling. I appreciate the help. I got to get these out of here." So that's one of the things we talk about, the difference between a referral and a lead. And so the consulting director's role is a long answer to this question. And thank you for the question. Is building the trust and the relationship with the chapter. You need to go more than once a month, and the more you go, the more they will rely on you for information. And we do play a key role in helping chapters grow. We play a key role in helping stabilize some chapters because chapters go from, they could start at 17, get up to 24. Things happen, people move, jobs are changed, stuff like that. All of a sudden, you're down to 14. You're like, wait, how do we get down to 14? And you kind of reset some things, talk to them, and help them get back up to the number you want, because life happens to everybody. And
Mhm.
again, we're not employees, we are small business owners. We voluntarily joined this chapter. So those are things that a consulting director
Another
can do.
question here is, should I set it one-to-one with with my consulting director
I
as a
would.
user,
Yes,
as a
I would
member?
as a chapter for a couple of reasons. One is you want to find out what they're all about. Do they really want to help your chapter? And second of all, if they are good, is like, okay, I just joined BNI or I'm looking for this. How can you help me do this? In theory, the consulting directors have more experience than most of the leadership team members in BNI. So we've seen more, we've talked to more people, we've probably done more things. On average, that's usually true. But you would want to do that to pick our brains. Hey, what do you know? I just joined, or I'm in this seat, kind of tough getting this. How can you help me with that? We're also kind of the de facto mentor coordinators for each chapter. Many chapters have them, and a mentor coordinator. And I tell people in training a lot that BNI, you can apply a lot of business practices to your BNI group. For example, you own a small business, you just hired somebody the other day. If you want that person to be successful and your company to be successful, you're not going to give that person, hey, here's bullet points of all the things you're supposed to do. Hey, good luck. Holler if you have any questions. That person's not trained right, so they're not going to be in a position to succeed. It's the same thing with BNI. If you bring in a new member and put them in a position to succeed by getting them trained correctly, mentor them correctly, then they're going to succeed and they're going to help the chapter. Now, a boss of mine a long, long time ago said, Mike, it's a whole lot easier to keep a current client than go find a new one. And if you got a small business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You do not want to lose a client for being lazy or not helping them or not tending to their needs. Now you got to, start making phone calls. You got to go knocking on doors. It could take 4 months to find a new client. Keep the ones you have by taking good care of them. Customer service is not hard, but it's not easy. Just touch base with them. See how they're doing, pop in every now and then, find a reason, take them a dozen cookies or donuts one morning. Hey, just wanted to say thank you for the business. Want to drop off some donuts. Hope you guys have a good day. It's the business practice is the same thing with the new member in BNI, as our job is, like I said, the de facto mentor coordinator if the chapter doesn't have one. And we want to put them in position to succeed by helping them understand what BNI is. Like I said earlier, some people I'd never networked before I joined BNI. So now I kind of know how to do it. I always take somebody with me. It's a whole lot easier walking into a room of people you don't know with somebody you do know. Makes it a little bit easier, kind of divide and conquer the room, but at least you always have someone to talk to. So I hope that answers the question, but I would schedule a one-to-one with your consulting director, if for nothing else, just to find out, hey, how can I help? How can I use BNI to help grow my business?
So real quick again, how do I find out who is my consulting director?
Well, a couple ways. One is you can ask your president. Two is you can call the office, say, I think I have one. I've never seen one. Or you can go to Triangle BNI, pull up the page for your chapter, and it will list your consulting director there with their email address and phone number. A wonderful question. I, in the past, was one of those CDs that only went once a month, and I got out of it exactly what I put into it, which wasn't a lot. And I realized if I was going to do this job correctly and be a benefit to a chapter, I needed to go more than once, and I have been for the last 6 or 8 months, been working with Mary Stocks in the BNI office, a wonderful consulting director, a wonderful trainer for me, has helped me a bunch, and I've become a better CD for that by going more and staying in touch with people. And they can also help you. I don't ever ask for business. I don't ever ask to be introduced as, pest control, but, if you, again, building the relationship and the credibility with them, I've gotten some business out of my chapters without ever asking for it, so that's what you wanna do is help build the credibility.
Um, I don't want to overlap, but
Yep.
here's a question about how to find member success training.
Yes.
She said, "I've heard that I can take it online or go in person. Which one is best for a new member?"
Great question. So if you go to Triangle BNI, if you scroll down the left-hand side of the page, you'll see a calendar of events, and click on that, and it'll show you the training each month. I do the first Friday of every month at, in Wake Forest at 10 a.m. at the Forks Restaurant, nice folks down there, and I do the first Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at Frontier out in up in RTP. So the calendar will have a list of all the 4, I think it's 4, maybe 5 times a month now that there's training, but that's one of the ways where they can go to do that. I recommend going in person, and here's why. You can go online and do the training. It takes longer. There's more information there, but it takes longer. I'm one of those visual people. I've got to look somebody in the eye and have a conversation with them and learn from them and be able to. If you've watched this show before, I ask a lot of questions, love to ask a lot of questions. That's how I learn is by they say something and I ask a quick question there for clarification or to know. And plus, you're going to meet people. I had the last training I did at the Frontier in what are we in February now? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the first Thursday in February, there were 9 people there, and a couple of them left setting up one-to-ones with each other. They didn't know each other before, but you leave there and you met somebody. May get some business out of it. They may know one of your referral partners. So I would recommend you go to training, um, if that's the way you like learning. I can't sit at a computer and learn. I've got to be around people and ask questions and talk and stuff like that. But also you meet people, could lead to business. So I would hope you would go to the live training. I think you'll get more out of that. One of the things we talk about in member success is again, the application of best business practices. When somebody calls your office, you chat with them, "Hey, I'm looking for this." One of the questions before they hang up, you ask them is, "How'd you hear about it?" Right? Wouldn't you want to know why people are calling you? Are you putting out door hangers? Do you have an ad in the newspaper? Do you have a radio ad? Is it internet marketing? What is it? So if you're doing all 4 of those things and you look through after a month of this and you say, "Okay, we've not gotten a call from the door hangers. Okay, let's not do that again in March." The newspaper ad, we think we got a couple. We don't know. We'll have to check into that a little bit more. But look, 9 people called from our internet marketing through our website. Okay, that's how you know kind of what's working. So you want to know where you're spending your time and your money. And it's the same thing with BNI. If I know where all my referrals are coming from, which I should by tracking them, I'll know who my best referral partners are. So if I know Amnon sent me 14 referrals in January, by golly, Amnon's going to get a nice dinner come February because you want to do that. You want to further that relationship. If somebody's giving you that much business, you want to take care of them by saying thank you. I mean, they're not expecting anything like that, but you just want to tell them thank you for that. But if you don't track that, I could be looking at Amnon or Mary each week and they're like, "Hey, moron, I've sent you 15 referrals in January. You sent me 1. What good? What gives with that?" But that's why you should track that so you can recognize who's doing that. The other reason you track where all your referrals are coming from is say, I'm getting 15 from Amnon and none from Mary. Well, I'm gonna sit down with Mary and go, what am I not doing for you? Did I not? So what role did I play in this? Do I not explain well enough what I'm looking for? Is this something I did? And you just have that conversation to find out how you can get that 0 to a 2 or 3. But also the same thing, if I'm not sending any to her, how can she get that 0 to a 2 or a 3 from me as well? So
Yeah,
that
you don't write them off.
no, no, never, never. Because it may be you, believe it or not. I
Mhm.
know some people do not believe it's them. They think it's the other people, but it could be you. They may not, depending on what field you're in. We had Pam Goodman with K6 Easy on last week. That's not an easy thing to refer to. I'd need to sit down with her at least once or twice for me to process everything on the tutoring for the students, what role she plays with administrators and teachers on so I know what I'm listening for and how I can explain her to my clients. Because if you can't explain yourself to me, then how can I explain you to one of my clients? Okay. So you always have to look at yourself. All right, I'm not getting anything from this person. What's my role in this? Because it could be you, just may just be two people that just don't connect, or you may be in two different industries. Maybe you've never really sat down and talked about it, about how you can connect. There may be just one area where your worlds would collide. All right, let's figure out where those are. Two opportunities in a BNI chapter meeting for the members to get up and talk. One is, depending on the size of your group, there's a 30 or 45 or 60-second elevator pitch where you stand up and say, "Hey, my name is Mike. Do pest control. Here's what I do." And so that's a wonderful opportunity. And anytime you get up to speak in front of people, you kind of want to be prepared. And the other thing is a 10-minute speech, which we will get to, but in the 60-second presentation, so I can stand up every week and say the same thing, blah, 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 blah. And nobody's going to remember what I say because nothing's new, nothing's different, nothing's going to get people to think. So the first thing we tell people on the 60-second presentation is lowest common denominators, your product or service, your target market, your benefit, or your credentials. So product or service. Okay. I can kill cockroaches and ants for you. Target market. I need a house. Would love these neighborhoods. Okay. Here the night, I want Briar Creek, Preston, McGregor Downs, Wakefield, all those. Okay. You want the bigger houses, you know, probably people who don't mind getting set up on a quarterly plan. They're not going to, not that we charge a lot, but, maybe easier to get. The benefit, your baby can crawl on the floor and a cockroach is not going to crawl over your baby. And as most people know, watch the show, I have a new grandson. Saw him this past weekend. A blast. He'll be 7 months next month. I would not want a cockroach crawling over him while he's crawling on the floor. And the credentials, well, I'm a licensed technician. I have state training on this, that, and the other. But one of the benefits we talk about, and Steve Hand tells this story all the time, if you're a chiropractor, here's my benefit. I can make your golf game better. Because you don't think about it that way. You just think, oh, I can walk. But as a chiropractor, you would say, I can help you sleep better and I can help your golf game. So you always want to tell people the benefits of working with you. And depending on your industry, it could be 100 different things that would be a benefit to someone else. If you're a realtor, it's like, hey, I got all this covered. You just tell me, we'll walk through the house. You show me some pictures or listings of houses, what you want. Let me go find this stuff because I've sold X number of houses or I specialize in these neighborhoods, stuff like that. What's the benefit for you? Tell me a story. Don't tell me you're great. I can't tell people that. Don't tell me you've been in the market 20 years. That means nothing to me. Tell me a story. How did you right or wrong? How did you jump in and help somebody? How did you explain to someone or help someone when they were asking for one thing, thinking that's what they wanted? And once you listen long enough, you're like, it's not what you want. You don't want a two-story house. You may say you want a two-story house, but going back to the residential side, but let's see, you're 55, you got some bum knees. You're not going to be able to climb up and down steps. So the more you listen, um, the more you're going to understand what the client's looking for, even though sometimes as clients, we walk in and say, no, this is what I really want. But you walk out because the person you're dealing with is a professional. One of the things that most people forget to do is ask for the business because they stand up and say, hey, I'm Mike, here's what I do. And then they sit down and they don't ask for the business. Ask for the people you're looking for. I want to meet property managers. I want to meet landscapers. I want to meet carpet cleaners. I want to meet home inspectors. Whoever it is, ask for the business. These are the type of people I'm looking for. Specific is terrific. There's one, Mary Stocks tells a story. There's a guy in a chapter says, I just want to, he sells health supplements. And he says, I just want to meet people with blood. Really? That means nothing to me. I can't stop people and go, "Hey, you must need this because you have blood." Okay. Specific is terrific. I'm looking for John Smith at ABC Company. That specific is terrific. Now I know I don't know John, but I do my next door neighbor works at that company. Let me ask my neighbor on how to get an introduction to you to John Smith at ABC Company. Specific is terrific. Any questions out there while I'm flipping through pages here?
Yeah. So there's one about how can I get plugged in with a mentor for
Like I said, most chapters have mentor coordinators, and the best mentor coordinators I've found are the ones that have been in BNI for a while and they understand it and they have their processes in place. They track their referrals. They know what meetings they're going to. They know what chapters they're visiting. They follow up all the time. Those are the real good ones for that. If your chapter does not have that set up, if you feel like that could be you should tell them, hey, I want to volunteer as a mentor coordinator because I know I can help new people coming in. Or another reason we talked earlier to have a one to one with your consulting director. Because, like I said, we're all de facto mentor coordinators. We can help, but find somebody in your chapter that's been successful in BNI, not necessarily been in there a while, but been successful in BNI. And there's a Palms report that we run on everybody, and it tells you how much business they passed, how many referrals they passed. So go find that person and talk to them if your chapter does not have a mentor coordinator.
you? Mhm.
One of the hidden gems I tell everybody about in BNI is the one to one. And that's where you and I sit down, meet at your office, my office, Panera's, Starbucks, wherever, and sit down and talk, get to know each other a little bit. So you want to kind of have a brainstorming, we call it a brainstorming meeting. You want to realize things that are possible now. And when you do a one to one, there's four things you want to come out of this, but we'll get back to that in a second. Let me flip this page around here real quick. So we have a gains profile on every BNI site for every member. There's a gains profile, and it's goals, achievements, interests, networks, and skills. That's the way it's written so you can remember gains, but we're going to do it in a different order because this is kind of how you start. So you want to start with interests. I always tell the story. A good friend of mine, Brian Richardson, his chapter meets at Linwood Grill on, I think I always want to say Thursday, but maybe Wednesday, but it's RD23. They meet at Linwood Grill, good group of people. He's a huge Boston Red Sox fan. I'm an Astros fan. That is our interest. That's what connected us. Okay. So you want to find a reason, a common interest you have. It could be, again, it could be nonprofits you work for. It could be charitable work you do. It could be the church you're the member of, things like that. But find an initial interest for you to sit down and talk with that person. The second one is achievements. What have you done? All right. Now you can say you've been in the market for 20 years, but tell me a little bit more than that. Okay. Tell me some things you've done, some accomplishments you've had. And again, these are all personal and professional. So I'd like to know my nephew is an Eagle Scout. If I'm having a one-to-one with somebody, I don't care your age, I'd kind of like to know that. That tells me a lot about you. Skills. What are your skills? All right. I'm trained in this. I'm certified in that. I can do this. I want to know that. Networks. I want to know where you network. If you don't network anywhere, it could be a problem. I don't know how many people you know. But if I want to grow into the carry market and you are a member of the carry chamber and you network there all the time, I'd love to go with you and vice versa. So find out where they network, let them know where you network. You may find some common areas where you can go together. But more importantly, you may find some different areas that you've been looking at expanding into and they can get you there. And then the last letter is the first one in it says gains profile, but the last letter is G. It is your goals. If Amnon and I meet and after 2 minutes, he said, hey, Mike, my goal is to get 50 new customers this year. I would say, great. Good luck with that. I don't know you. I don't know how to help you. So, and that's why you do it in these orders. You do interest, achievements, skills, networking, and goals. So once I know you and once I've gotten to know you, now your goals become important to me. But if we just met, I can't help you with your goals. And likewise, you couldn't help me with my goals either. All right. So again, goes back to you want to find the connection with somebody. What is it for? What is it about? And that's going to grow because think back of all the people you know. What's the strong connection you have that you were able to build on? So when you schedule a one-to-one, as we talked about, date, time, and location, it can be wherever. Send your bio sheet and your gains profile ahead of time so I can read it that night. So the next day when we have the one-to-one, we're not using the first 30 minutes of that meeting telling each other our life story. I've already read it. I can ask you a couple questions on that. Tell me your last 10 customers. That would tell me a lot. It gives me an insight into the depth and breadth of your business. If you said your last 10 customers are all landscapers, I think, oh, okay, you must just work with landscapers. But if your last 10 customers included a doctor, a computer programmer, a traveling salesman, a teacher, all this stuff. Okay. Now it's like, wow, they deal with everybody. So give me a list. You don't have to give me their names, their location, anything like that. Just kind of the industry they're in. The 4 things you want coming out of a one-to-one, and again, this is the hidden gem in all of BNI because you get to start talking with people, about who they know. I go when I have a one-to-one, I go onto their LinkedIn page, find out who they're connected to that I wanna meet. I give them the list of 6, 8, 10, 12 people, however many it is. They're gonna know half of them. The other half, they would have met at a chamber event 3 years ago, and 2 of them, they probably can't even remember who they were, and that's fine. So when you finish a one-to-one, there's 4 things that are gonna come out of there. You want a short-term introduction. So Amnon knows Bill. I've been trying to meet Bill. Amnon goes, "I'm gonna send him an email today, and or I'm gonna send an email introduction, to both of you and let you guys take it from there, but I can do that for you right now." A long-term introduction. He says, "Ah, I know you need to meet Susie. I haven't talked to her in 6 months. Let me warm that relationship up. Let me call Susie. Hey, been thinking of you. New year starting. How's everything going?" Because you don't want to call somebody you've not talked to in 6 months. Go, "Hey, Susie, how you doing? By the way, I need you to meet Mike." That's again, put your consumer hat on. If somebody called you out of the blue 6 months, and then said, "Oh, yeah, I need you to do this or need you to meet this person," it's like, okay, you really didn't care how I'm doing. You just wanted to drum up some business for a friend. So warm up the relationship. Find out 3 people that I would want you to invite to the next meeting and 3 people you would want me to invite to the next meeting that you'd like to meet, and then a follow-up date for all this information. So the ultimate one-to-one is a short-term commitment, somebody you can introduce today, a long-term commitment of somebody you would warm up a relationship with, 3 visitors to invite that I would wanna meet, and then a follow-up date to make sure that everything was done. Because if you don't follow up, how do I know you did it? How do you know I did it? Everything follow up, follow up, follow up. If you have a small business, if you're involved in anything, this can even go to PTA, church, any kind of scheduling of an event. If there's no follow-up, you don't know it's done, and did it really work? The other any questions real quick before I change subject here? Okay. The other talking opportunity in a BNI chapter, depending on the size of your chapter, is a 5 or 10-minute presentation. All right. So my chapter, we have 21 people. We do 5-minute presentations. We do 2 5-minute people each week. So we're gonna do this on a 10-minute presentation, so the numbers will work out a little easier. So the first minute, talk about yourself. If you're doing a 10-minute for the first time, we kinda know you, maybe we don't know everything about you. A little bit about yourself, a couple things, maybe we know what you do and who you do it for. And give me a couple quick tidbits about maybe in high school, college, something like that. 1 minute about your company. How long you been around? Is it family owned? Are you a franchisee? What do you do? Tell me something about your company. 2 minutes telling me a story. All right. Tell me a story I can remember that I can tell my clients. One of my favorite stories I like people telling is how they talk themselves out of business because their client called them and said, "Man, I think I need this." You went and see the client, you say, "You know what? You're good. Keep what you have. There's nothing else I can do for you." Because you could really charge that client some money if they think they need something else, you could have walked in and really stuck it to them. But tell me a story about how you went to see a client and go, "You know what? You're good." And you see this with insurance people all the time and financial people. They'll meet with somebody and review their portfolio or their insurance needs. And the good ones will go, "You know what? You're good. I can't beat that. So stay right where you are. You're good." That tells me more about you than anything else because you could have really stuck it to the client. This is a funny one that not a lot of people do. Spend 1 minute addressing industry myths. Because you know what, folks? Every industry has a myth, and yours does too. So, but you need to address that up front. Hey, this is a funny thing, and we talk about lawyers all the time, right? You could just there's a probably 5 or 6 industries. It's like, okay, here's the lawyers, car salesmen. We know them all, right? CPA, you know them all, doctors, all that stuff. Just debunk a couple of the myths. Hey, you hear this all the time. We laugh about it, but that's not how we do this. Okay. And then spend 5 minutes asking for the business. One of the best things you can do, that Steve Hand talks about doing this, is he'll have a sheet of paper in front of when he's a speaker, he'll have a sheet of paper that he'll put in front of everybody that has list names in professions. He doesn't want to say, "Hey, I want to meet property managers," and gives you 5 blanks to write down a name, because in 5 minutes, are you gonna be able to do recall while you're listening to him? He'll give you the 5 names of people he wants to meet. You circle the ones he wants to meet, and then you turn in that sheet at the end of the day, at the end of his talk, and that's who gets the door prize, because each speaker is supposed to bring in a door prize. And that's how Steve does the door prize. There's no drawing. There's like, okay, who circled the most names for me? That's who I'm going to take care of. Plus, it allows him to set up a one-to-one with all those people that handed him a sheet. And he can say, all right, how do you know, how well do you know this person? It's a wonderful way to do it. Again, going back to specific is terrific. Who do you want to meet? Don't tell me property managers. Tell me Jim or Susie or Bill or Diane or whoever at this company. I may only know one of them, but you know what? You didn't know that person before you started talking. So there's a benefit to that. But specific is terrific. I can't help you if I know you're looking for that person, but you never tell me that. But if you tell me that, and I may just know somebody in the company, but that's fine because we're just looking for a way in the door. We talked earlier about giving referrals. A referral is somebody is in need of something and they ask you for help, and then they give you permission to have that person call you. Right at each meeting, you want to write down each week who's looking for what. If I see for the 5th week in a row, Amnon's like, I'm looking for property managers. I'm going to go find a property manager because I wrote it down. I keep looking at my list like, man, that's 5 weeks in a row he's asked for that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go try to find him a property manager. But if I don't write it down and to make the assumption that every member in your chapter is listening to every word you say, probably not a fair assumption. Receiving referrals. When I get a referral from somebody, I want to tell that client how wonderful that person is that gave me that referral, and then follow up, follow up, follow up. Uh, Personal prospect list. We want so inviting people. BNI, we talk about this all the time. It's a dues paying organization. It's $445 a year. It's weekly meetings. Usually, most chapters will meet about 50 weeks out of the year. They'll take Thanksgiving and Christmas slash New Year's off, depending on how that falls. So, 50 weeks out of the year, you're going to meeting, but it's not a meeting, folks. It's a client. My group is a client of mine, and I get about 55% of my business from that client. So guess what? Guess where I'm going to be every Thursday morning at 7:30? I'm going to my meeting because I'm getting business from them and I'm getting referrals from them. So if you had a client, any client that was worth 55% of your bottom line, and that client says, hey, Mike, every Tuesday morning we're meeting at Starbucks at 9 a.m. to review my business with you. Guess where I'm going to be every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.? I'm going to be at Starbucks meeting with that client, and BNI is the same way. So when we're inviting people, we want to tell them what's in it for them. Hey, you've been looking for a realtor. I want to introduce you to my realtor. She sold 62 houses in 2018. That's somebody you want to meet. I want to introduce you. You said you were looking for an HVAC person. I got a guy 20 years in the industry, knows what he's doing. I've used him before. I've referred him before. You said you want to meet somebody. Why don't you just come have some coffee with me? First cup of coffee's on me. I want to introduce you to them. You want to tell that person what's in it for them. You don't want to say, hey, there's a meeting, you owe money, you got to show up every week. Don't lead with that. Just get them in the door. They can make their own decision. They meet people, they make a connection with somebody. Chances are they may know somebody in the room as well. We've seen that before too. So just explain to them what's in it for them and then let them make the decision. One of the numbers I tell my chapters to give out is the average price of a referral. In one of my chapters, the average price of a referral is $500. So you invite somebody there, and towards the end of the meeting, when the vice president's giving the report, and they say, just so you know, for the month of February, average price of a referral is $500. And then you want that person you invited to do their own small business math in their head. Oh, if I get a referral a week, that's $2,000 a month just from this group. Wow. What would $2,000 a month mean to my bottom line? A lot, okay? Depending on the business you're in, maybe a little, maybe a lot, but you're doing the math. Let them do the math because I can tell you that, but I want you to do your own small business math in your head to see how valuable it would be to your company.
Not to speak about the fact that you
Yes.
already paid for the yearly
Yeah.
right
And
there.
that pays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the goal, thank you. The goal number one is we want to help members pay that $445. Let's go, you know what? It'd be great to get it done in one referral. Be great to get it done in the first month. And then they can tell people, man, let me tell you how wonderful this is. Because I don't know about you folks watching and listening, but I hate cold calling. I'd much rather go somewhere where somebody knows me, likes me, and trusts me, and they're looking out for me to help get me referrals to grow my business. That's what I would rather do. There's a couple more policies on BNI. Again, we talk about it is a dues paying organization. It's seat specific, so there's nobody else in there that does what you do. You get 3 absences per 6 months. Send a sub. Your best sub is a client of yours because they can stand up and go, "You guys need to call Mike," or "You guys need to call Anon. They are awesome. Here's why I'm one of their clients." So that's kind of the overview of our member success training and why we want each new member to be successful. We want to put them in a position to be successful. As a consulting director, our job is to work with the chapters to make sure that happens. If you have any other questions like that, please call the BNI office at 919-465-1667. You can talk to Steve or Mary or Brenda. They'll be more than happy to help you. Go to trianglebni.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's Find a Chapter. Click on that. And then also you can send us an email at bni@nissancommunications.com with any questions. We'd be more than happy to help you, but please just go visit a chapter. No, you don't have to join. We're not going to ask you to join right there. We just want you to meet the people you would possibly be involved with to help you grow your business. Wonderful group of people, very involved in helping each other grow their business, very involved in the community as well. So a bunch of good people. Just wanted you to come visit one time, see what you think. No obligations, no nothing. We'll probably buy you a cup of coffee. Sometimes there's food there, grab a donut or something like that. But we'd love for you to come to visit because there's a lot of people helping each other grow their small business through BNI. We appreciate you listening today, and we'll see you next week on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.